All righty. So thanks again. So we've been talking about meditation and how and why it works for us instead of something like, say, a meditation instead of a medication. I didn't write that down. It just popped into my head. That should be the name of this class, because truly it's the first place we go oftentimes as the doctor, or, there's so many people right now that this is why I kind of really wanted to do this one, was there's so many people right now who just need a little bit of shutting that survival mode off. We go hardcore into that sympathetic nervous system that it just runs, right? It tells us there's a tiger chasing us. It tells us that we're in danger. It tells us that we're not safe. And this is a great safety feature, right? We do need that sometimes. But when you think about it, the amount of chemicals that it sets off and the amount of, cortisol, the stress hormones, all these things, it becomes a real hormonal imbalance after a while. But not only that, it keeps us stuck in focusing on how tough it is and focusing on these problems that just kind of keep coming up at us, and it feels so much. And then as soon as we start to think it feels heavy, it just feels so heavy. And as soon as we start thinking about, should I leave my husband, you start thinking about, should I leave my husband? And that, if that's not in your filter, you're not even going to think about it, right? But when we're in fight or flight mode, we're not being rational. And so this little, 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute time that we take for ourselves, where we put that oxygen mask on for ourselves, where we take a few minutes and just go, okay, what do I really need right now? Instead of just, absolutely falling apart, which is okay sometimes too. In fact, I cry probably daily just because I feel so much, but it's not from being overwhelmed and out of control. It's from feeling, the things that I talk to people about, like the things when you're coaching, the horrendous things that people have to go through. Sometimes I need a little meditation in between just to kind of be able to understand how humanity can, do things to each other, and just like, oh, it's so much, right? So truly the way that I deal with life and with being a person that feels a lot is by literally switching those switches off, literally taking control of that parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system switch, taking a few moments to actually get into a space where I can shut my mind off. And it's not an easy thing to do. Some people have to focus on one thing. Some people have to focus on other things. Some people have to move, and you don't know exactly what your way is until we kind of ask a few questions. Like, are you a person that really needs dark? Like, can you not focus if there's a visual distraction? Or do you need something to focus on? Are you a person that hears things and sounds are very calming? Or are sounds going to trigger you? Are you like, some people really, their ears are sensitive, right? Some people need total silence and they can't have that guided meditation. Some people need a guided meditation because they can't have that silence, right? So the different names of the meditations are all about the same. Okay, so we have a guided meditation. We call it, we would basically call it a focused meditation. Right? Yeah. And you almost kind of get triggered by meditation because it's like, I'm meditating. I actually made a sign. Thanks, Susan. I'm going to tell you guys, I made a sign that I put on my door that said, I'm effing meditating, because the minute I would lie down or get into my comfy spot, someone's crashing in the door. And it was like, well, I'm freaking meditating here. Like, when I first really started. And then I was like, when I was meditating, I was like, you need to put a sign on the door. So after I was in a funny mood, I'm fucking meditating. I put it on the door. And that was it. I got my space because I just had to ask my kids for the 10 minutes. They just didn't know, right? Like, if I'm in my room, I'm not ever sleeping. So like, they're like, what are you doing? Right. So making that time for yourself, making that shift, if it's not something that normally happens. So we have these mindful meditations, and anytime you see mindful meditation, that's what you're doing. You're doing the Buddhist type of meditating, where you are just literally being mindful of yourself. You can ask questions. You can This can be a guided thing. It also doesn't have to be. So mindful meditation basically means you're kind of engaging the conscious mind. You're not just kind of sitting there in the dark. You're actually sort of engaged in something, usually in a particular thought, but you're engaging your senses. One sense, five senses. What we do in the recode is kind of engage all five, right? We usually have you, how does that here? Now breathe through their lungs, this kind of thing. So it only has to engage one sense, super simple, really good for a beginner. So if you ever saw a mindful meditation app, it's likely going to be very helpful. Then there's our focused attention. So this is like more on the lines of what we do, which is still completely different than anything, but it is kind of a guided meditation. It's focused on something. And then that can be divided into things like you might hear metta meditation, METTA, they call it. And that is being kind to yourself, self-love meditation. So metta meditation is actually the self-love type meditation, the kindness, the one that's going to create compassion. So that's always something that's kind of nice to have as well, right? And then you're going to go into your things like transcendental, for example. That one kind of throws people for a loop because it's like, what does that mean? That gets closer to where we are. The transcendental is actually going to a space, asking, kind of trying to get outside of your body in a way, allowing your mind to shift. You're going to do it for 20 minutes, 2 times a day. It's a structured thing. You don't just do a transcendental meditation one day. It's definitely, something that you would repeat. But the really cool thing about this, you guys, is that meditations, there are so many studies, and with 8 weeks of just studying, and like 8 weeks of people doing a 13-minute meditation every day, they had reduced cortisol levels, they had reduced blood pressure, they had way less stress in their lives, they had manifestations starting to happen, they had like every single person, and the more extreme they were, the better the results were, had these just amazing results. And every study that they've done for meditation has shown this, because they have a control group and they have the meditation group, and every time it's a landslide. It's just, there's study after study. And one of the fun apps that I found when I was studying a long time ago on meditations was the Ucla app. It's totally free. And it's literally like you go, University of Los Angeles. It's actually, or California, I guess. It's actually totally free, and it has a little bit of everything. So you can try out all sorts of different meditations. You can try out like one to sleep. You can try out a guided one. You can try out with just music. You can try, kind of gives you the different states, the different, just different ideas. So as coaches, it's kind of fun to have that under our belt, because you can extract things from that in some of the meditations you do as well, right? Like if you want to just kind of do something simple that's not Joe Dispenza or not, and Joe Dispenza tends to be more like the transcendental meditation, which is why he has his programs for doing it, 3 months in a row. Because like we have learned, if you're going to do something for about 3 months in a row, you're going to create that habit. You're making this muscle. So you're making a meditation muscle, right? And if we don't usually work that muscle, it takes a while to kind of make it easy, and then you actually really start to enjoy it. But we struggle a bit with meditation, and a lot of times people kind of go, I'm not doing that, is they just tried one kind and it really didn't work for them. It could have triggered things, it could have brought things up, which is the other reason that I love our recode, because we create this safe container, right, for people to just have exactly what needs to come up in the field. You're not going to have all sorts of stuff come up in the field. Like I have to tell you, Suzanne, in your recode, when I was in there, you told us to look for a positive thing about money, and like a positive, when you were creating our anchor there. And I couldn't think of one. I had none. I was like, nope, there wasn't any. And then the deepest thing happened. I got to tell you, okay, so I don't know. I had a really crazy experience with my mom passed away. It was suicide. It was a really bad thing. Insurance was like, it was absolutely insane. They told us, you guys are sort of out of luck. We got stuck with a house. We got stuck with a farm. And then I sort of emptied everything I had into it. And then her husband came and took it all away. And so I had all this money sort of that I had saved up for being, just working my butt off, and sunk it in, and it was gone. But the weird thing is that I had completely blocked out that there was actually this insurance check that had come around, and we had gotten it. And I was so in the throes of grief that I didn't even remember having it, because I didn't want it. I wanted nothing to do with it. And it was gone. But it was, when you said, just remember you were happy. And I was like, I remember having money and I was happy, even though it was the worst time in my life. It was the most miserable time in my whole life. It brought up some really crazy stuff. Hey, Tamara, like that was deep. That's a deep thing to kind of go into. And just bringing up that memory was really, I didn't fall apart. It was really cool to just be in my experience, and it was safe because it was in that container. And I wouldn't have even ever talked about this like 5 years ago. I would have never even mentioned it. So that's huge. That's what this work does, like even the fact that I can be out coaching on meditation now, when at one point in my life, like you didn't even ever think you could get one foot in front of the other. You didn't even think you could, you're just hanging on to a stick, right? And so now that I know these tools, this is the biggest thing. I get goosebumps when I think that we can give people these tools so they don't have to struggle, so that they don't have to carry that heaviness, that sadness, that stay in that solid state of that nervous system, right? Like we can just shut it off just like that. So the cool thing about meditation itself is you don't need anything to do it. You can simply sit. So you guys hear like the om and where you're actually having to do kind of like a chanting sort of thing. There's definitely like a spiritual meditation, I guess more of almost like it's really neat with transcendental. They use your birth date, they use the birth date of the coach, they make this whole Sanskrit thing for you to say. For me, I find that too tough because I'm too worried about the syllables and I don't remember what they all mean. And if I said 1986 instead of 1976, or if I screwed it all up, like I'm way too, the monkey mind goes too much for me to be able to get into something that I don't really understand. But to sit and just go, the thing that happens is our vagus nerve opens up directly, which will in turn shut off that nervous system that is overfiring all the time. So just by a simple, and the thing is finding that vibration that sort of works for you. So for a lot of people, they'll just, I just tell them to hum until you feel it vibrate inside your skull, where you're almost kind of like where you feel your lips vibrate a little bit. You want that to happen. And you want to feel that vibration, all, just let it go. And the more you just literally relax your shoulders, those neck muscles relax, the vagus nerve relax, your ears will unclog, your inner ear chakras can open, your pineal gland unwinds, like everything just starts to expand. And so then your consciousness naturally expands too, right? And that brings me to the levels of, where we talk about levels of consciousness, like alpha, theta, beta, gamma, all this kind of stuff, right? Because then it's like, okay, well now what? Oh, the one thing I forgot about with meditation was you get into like Kundalini and all that kind of stuff. It's all just names of people that have done different things. But the one I didn't talk about was movement. So Kundalini Yoga or meditation or movement meditation is that last kind of pillar of meditation. And that's when you're not sitting still, you're not focused on one thing, you're not using a Tibetan bowl, you're actually moving. And you see some of these, like the women's tribe circles and healing circles, they actually have you move, they have you sing. We're singing because we're opening up our vagus nerve. We're moving because it's opening up our chakras and our energy centers. Like just think about how, I don't know if you guys get the tingles when you dance, you just kind of like, it's almost like you're almost nervous that, people are watching and then you don't care and you just feel those like that. That is, that movement meditation that's so important. And that also is doing exactly what the Recode's doing. It's creating those proteins, creating those neurochemicals to make those pathways just be so accessible. So by meditating just for, a few minutes every day, you're now creating that actual neural pathway to get there. And I know you guys know all about creating the neural pathways to get there. So we can aid ourselves with recode, even just by, that's kind of what they're talking about with self recode. Have you guys done a self recode? You probably have, where you talk to your unconscious mind. Not yet, Jesse. Yeah. All it really, I find, involves is actually going into your heart space, going into your inner wisdom. You can definitely do an inner wisdom meditation to kind of get there. But I find that just going in and actually just kind of talking to my superconscious, I'm just like, all right, superconscious, are you there? And I'll just be like, I'd like to, as I'm falling asleep, I actually kind of start thinking about, I'd really like to get all of these part personalities lined up and working together, just, almost like asking it to kind of place things before I go to sleep, just align things. And just usually by the time I get into where are you now, I'm already passed out. So it works pretty good. So self-meditation, that's definitely something that would definitely wire some fires and fire some wires together, so you guys can just be literally connecting to it right away. It's amazing. So a couple of the things that physiologically this does for us, like I said, it's really reducing the stress level, right? So if you can, that's our big thing. Like everyone says, so just reduce your stress level. Well, how? Well, actually, there's a lot of ways, right? And meditating is just a huge thing. Sitting and just asking yourself on a beach, that is going to bring you from, so we're always in beta state. Beta state is monkey mind state, where we're just going, doing, working, automatic pilot kind of thing. It's just sort of that the beta waves, they operate, I believe it's like 7 to 14 megahertz. Like they're all measured, right? But then you can get into the alpha state, where you take a break that's break time. That's, when you take your break at work, when you kind of, when you breathe. Some people choose to smoke to go into beta state because it automatically, that triggers them into it. It can be a little bit of daydreaming, just kind of checking out there just a little bit, not totally checked out, but just like when you just kind of, can relax, going for a walk, not, just feeling really good. That's when everything's working together. You're not just in that beta state. The waves are essentially, they believe they go up to go down to 7 at that point. So they're a lot lower. And then you can actually slide a little further down into theta state, where that's actually your dream state, but it's also the state that we go into when we're in recode, when we simply become relaxed. This is where you're in theta state. This is where the term theta healing comes from, because they literally get you into a meditation, take you into that state, and then use their intuition to kind of move around you. And they actually say that it's like the level, there's levels to God kind of thing, kind of like we do with levels of consciousness. That theta state is below gamma, which is, so there's a whole bunch, but I find the beta, alpha, theta is where we generally operate from. When we do want to kind of get a little bit heavier, you can go into the gamma state, which is, close to as close to God as you can almost get, which is really quite cool. But pardon me, that is something that you can pay attention to with meditations. When you're looking, say, for example, for a meditation to do, if you just want to kind of fall asleep to, I love going into the meditations, looking for the theta state ones, looking for the ones that are actually at that frequency. So you kind of want to get to certain points. So say you're in the morning, you might want to just kind of go into an alpha state. You might not want to be right down into theta. Usually I love just kind of jumping into the theta state by doing a little meditation. And what I've done for my clients is I've actually started, this one's coming to you, Miss Samara, doing a specific meditation for them each month. So when they are, really working on something like health and wellness, giving them a particular health and wellness. I just make it a 3-minute meditation. So I send it to them just by either voice messenger, or I have a little app that's called, it's a podcast app that I use, or Audacity. And I just record a little meditation and I send it to them. So all they have to do is just open up Messenger, hit it. And I'm like, good morning, Samara. I hope you're going to have an awesome day. And they always say, I can tell you're smiling when you're talking to me because I just hear it. So they start smiling right away. And that starts to put them into that theta state. And it's neat. Even when I was a doula for birthing and that, the kids would respond to my voice a lot easier. So I could usually get their kids to sleep even easier because they would go into theta state when they were with me. And that would send baby into a relaxed state. And it was like this. It was so cool seeing after they were born, because they'd look at me like, because I was always there, right? And it was really neat to be a part of that and not be a part of it. It's those states of the brain, they imprint, is basically what I'm trying to say. Kind of like we talk about with Recode, with memories, you remember certain things because of the feeling. And so what we do is we bring the feeling into your meditation. So I look at what what they really want to achieve, and I kind of dial that in for the meditation, just making them feel really good. Because I tell you, all of the meditations out there are basically the same thing. You're either going to have nothing where you ask yourself, you're going to literally sit in quiet and just ask yourself a question. You're going to bring yourself into a state where the question is going to come and the answer is going to come without even knowing the question. Or you're going to actually just kind of give control over to someone and just allow it to be and just see what happens. But if you have an intention to actually set that up for yourself, to get those proteins pumping first thing in the morning, because in the morning you're in that beta state right away, and you're in like as soon as you start going. So if you're staying in alpha before you kind of get going in the morning, or even in theta while you're still in that dreamy state, and you just woke up 5 minutes early and actually put that meditation on, it will be 5 times as impactful. Just not only because it's happening in the morning, because it's happening in that state. You don't have to take yourself to get into that state. Because what I'll do after is I'll show you guys, sort of how you get into that state. And you may have noticed, I don't know who was on Chris's last call on Wednesday. I don't know if any of you were on there. It was, I think you might have been, Samara. But what he did was he all of a sudden, he was talking, it was a great session. It's been after Christmas. He's back. He's doing our group coaching. And he was just kind of like, he was snippy. He was kind of snippy with people. And I was like, oh, he's kind of jacked up. Usually he's a little, more relaxed. And so when we went in to do Recode, he started with, feel this ball of light above your head. And he did this whole ball of light, bring the ball of light into, he's never done that before, right, Sarah? Never done that before. I think you were there too, Hen. And I was like, that's what I do. Like, I've never heard him do that. I didn't even know he did that. And like, I think seen most of his stuff. Like, it's been a long time. And he said in our Q&A after that, he was having a really hard time connecting because it had actually been so long because he hadn't done a Recode with us for a couple of weeks, and he wasn't doing it. Oh, he does it in Creator. That's why I'd never seen it. Okay. Because I'm like, where did this come from? And that's why I never saw, I haven't taken Creator. I should. But yeah, he said he really needed to just kind of ground himself and get himself into this. And so that's what I do when I'm trying to fall asleep a lot of times, or if I'm trying to just kind of shut off that monkey light, I just literally say that. So that's the kind of meditation I'm going to bring you guys through. And I'm just going to bring you through a bit of a meditation to just kind of allow ourselves to just basically reset. We're just going to go in, we're just going to like plunk, 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 kind of get all of those energy systems, all the organ, everything. I could just feel the body just wanting to just like purge. Because what happens too is we get so full, so overwhelmed, our cells are even full, like they're just full. I know Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza always say there's like, what, 4 billion things that come at you in a second, and we retain 200,000. We still have to retain that and put that somewhere. And on a cellular level, it goes into our body. You know, you hear people holding different things. I'm a big believer that everything from the little finger, if you're holding back secrets, to the left shoulder, if you've been kind of having a bit of a broken heart, or, you know, just everything. The lungs are fear, trauma, sorry, lungs are trauma, hips are fear, you know, neck is sometimes resistance to going places, same, and hands are letting go, you know, like it's really neat, right? Even the middle finger is anger. There's all sorts of stuff that correspond with our body and the energy cells that we hold in it. And all the books say the same thing, right? Like that's the thing. All of the books kind of come down to the same sort of thing. So you can actually increase memory, and get rid of things like, not get rid of the effects of dementia and some of the effects on people that take care of dementia patients with just a little meditation. Seniors are incredible for this. Kids are incredible for this. Just going into a little, you know, going into a little 5-minute meditation, like they are all over it. You bring a kid into a point in time where they were on top of the world, where they felt like when's the last time you won an award? Remember last time all these people were clapping for you? When's the last time? And you just see them like, oh, you know, because they forget about those times. They're already in their structure of, oh, everybody hates me, I'm not significant. You know, like it's so, even my own daughter the other day, I blocked it out already. My super conscious, we already recoded it. I can't remember what it was, but I'm like, where did that come from? Just, you know, just that lack of belief in yourself. And it's like, but why? Like, you know, you don't understand why people have them, and they don't understand why they do either. But this is something that they can just kind of give themselves grace, tune into a good feeling, tune into, you know, how it felt to just kind of be on top of the world. So that's why we do what we do with the Recode. But yeah, you know, even addictions, things like creating a new pathway, creating a new structure. So if someone's really struggling with addiction, this is something that can actually create that confidence that they have that control to make that change. So I always sort of recommend, instead of, so that, say it's someone quitting smoking, because I've worked with this quite a bit actually. You're trying to quit smoking. So I tell them, okay, so when you're going to go grab for that cigarette, you can lift it up, but I want you to think for a moment to just give it the option. You can choose to have the cigarette, but what if you chose to just actually put it down, take a nice deep breath, relax your shoulders, and just breathe for a minute. Now, the breath work, oh my gosh, the breath work is huge, right? You see this with Joe Dispenza. Oh, thanks, Jesse. I feel like I'm just like, there's so much information about it. I don't want, and you guys are so advanced that I'm not like, I'm just going for it. I'm just telling you all these amazing things about meditation. I'm going to keep this to a coach's one because it's a lot. However, when you're actually incorporating the breath work, now you're really getting chemicals working. Because if you can do, there's all sorts of breath work, right? There's from the pelvis, there's, you know, Joe Dispenza will tell you to pull right from your perineum and fill up that head and fill up that, you know, you bring the air up into your head and you hold it 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 and you don't know when he's going to then and release. And then you just, you know, you just got to let go. Well, you do 5 breaths like that, you're hypoxic and you go right into transcendental meditation. Like it takes you there instantly, because you're actually, what happened was you just triggered your body into that fight or flight response, and then you let it go and you stopped it right then and there. So by, you know, hyperventilating into a paper bag, all that was getting you doing that deep breath work to get you hypoxic for a few seconds, so that your brain would all of a sudden go, oh my gosh, you're gonna die. Oh no. Oh, look at that. We're okay. And that switch just comes off, because you're all of a sudden, you know, triggering that. When we're in fear or in panic, what we do is we shut off the diaphragm. We don't breathe from it, and we just chest breathe, and we stay in chest breathing. You don't know, like so many people, when you start to tell them to breathe from the belly, they don't know how. They've chest breath for years, you know, and lived in that. And when we're in that state of trauma, we chest breathe, and we get 20% of the oxygen we need to our cells, to our organs. When we belly breathe, we get 80% more oxygen. Like, that's crazy, just by having a belly breath. It's just, oh. So when I have you guys breathe, we're going to do just like I'll just do like a little 10-minute meditation, because a lot of you have already had a crazy recode. And I am doing another call a little bit later this evening. It's at 11, so it's very late. Instead, ribs. Yes, yes, absolutely. Right. You can. Was that actually because your back was so bad, Jesse? Crazy, crazy. Hey, the back. And that's something too. Yeah, go ahead and share. Tell me a bit about that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so I've been breathing from the belly, like we've been told, but I haven't been breathing from the diaphragm. And apparently that caused the osteoporosis and the crush fracture or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn that again. And it's taken me, and I still find it really hard. I've got to so concentrate on being able to breathe from the ribs.
Yes, I guess, hey, because that's not something that we normally would do. Have you ever breathed from your side lungs? Have you ever heard of that? I think I've probably made you do that if I've guided you through a meditation before. I love opening up the side lungs. Like, you know, those lat muscles that you have, you literally, so you take your breath in just through your ribs, but then what you do is open up the side, and just gently. For you, it wouldn't be, and we'd always want to kind of just be breathing from, you know, through the nose, but we literally just almost imagine our sides opening up, and not in a forceful way, and not lifting our shoulders too much, but actually relaxing our shoulders and letting those side lungs expand. It allows that, instead of, you know, all that force down. But the other thing about when we breathe through our diaphragm and our belly is that we're actually massaging our colon at the same time too. So for IBS, for things like that, for things like fibromyalgia, meditation is recommended, because it actually lowers like we get cytokines released in our body that cause inflammation. Well, this actually decreases the amount of cytokines in your, like, they've done lots of studies on these, right? So it actually reduces the inflammation in your body, because it reduces those cytokines, because that's what's causing it. And that's from the stress response. So it's different if you have inflammation that you've, you know, from a you know, fractured spine, things like this. But if it's inflammatory response from stress, where you have things like the fibro and the even Lyme, things like that, they've actually got tons of studies done on how meditation alone will help to actually get rid of that inflammatory response in the body. So people have come out of autoimmune deficiency things. It's incredible just from meditating.
Very interesting, because I had the Lyme's and what was the other one that you said? Yeah,
fibro. Yeah,
4 years ago or whatever, and so they reckon the osteoporosis and Alzheimer's are all inflammation as well.
Absolutely.
So
how
it's very interesting
that you found this work. Like, this could really change your life. It could give you years, right? Like, yes. That's amazing. And there's nothing that you could do medically that would equate to that. Nothing. There's no, you know, there's nothing you can take that won't affect another system. Like, the only side effects that meditation has are good ones, right? Like, it's pretty cool. I love that. That's just absolutely, I feel like, you know, this does come to us at the time that we really need it, and the time that we can really absorb it. And, you know, even sometimes now when I'm on different classes, it's like the things that you hear even from other coaches, they're still mind-blowing. We still learn every single day. We've never stopped. I can't, the things, I drive my family crazy. I'm always got something in my ears. I'm always learning something, right? 32 years of a nurse. Oh, wow. That is amazing. Right. And it's true. Like, there's almost no nurse that really knows the shiznit that's not going to say, you know what, I think you're onto something. Like, it's true, because you see it work for patients too. Like, if you can get them breathing and you can get them relaxing, even just by doing something really quick, you know, it's absolutely mind altering, right? So yeah, I love that UCLA app. I mean, there's Gaia, there's Headspace, there's all sorts of apps for meditating. But like I say, you really don't need anything fancy like that. You can certainly use them. Even that UCLA one, just because it's free, it's kind of nice. But I end up just literally doing it on my own. I don't do music a lot. I don't do anything like that, just because I kind of like the silence. But there's times where I mix it up, and I really love diving into some of Dr. Joe's stuff. So I urge you guys to do. There's tons of free ones on YouTube. Like he has the breaking the habit of being yourself type of meditations that actually are kind of the same things that we do in a way. But Chris studied a lot with him, right? So you know that a lot of it kind of sits right. So it's the breathing is the hardest thing I think about Dr. Joe's stuff, because a lot of people get scared off of that, or they feel like they're maybe not doing it right. Or the biggest thing is don't even worry about the breathing. You do have to do it to get the maximum amount of benefits. But just listening to the meditation and passing out is going to be as beneficial, I find, as he says, don't lie down. You want to be active during it. But I mean, how many times have you guys done recodes and you come back and everybody's just like, you know, and we're out. Like, you can be sitting up, you could be standing up, you're out. Like, there are times where you're just not there, right? You go into theta state, and it's not sleeping, it's that theta state. That's that, I don't know where the heck I was, but that was cool. That's theta state. And that's when you kind of know that you're there. So you're doing it right. And that's allowing all those processes to happen. And I really do believe that sometimes things just kind of have to be allowed, right? And if this is what can make it happen, then that's fabulous. I love the fact that we can just use a few words and we can get people into that state. Like, what an amazing gift to be able to give that to people. So right now, if you guys are up for it, I'd love to just give you a quick 5-10 minute gift of a just a nice little meditation to just really kind of balance and regenerate things out. I never know where we're going to go, but we're just going to go somewhere together. If you guys are up for playing in the sandbox with me, we're just going to go somewhere. So I'm going to get you guys to experiment with me a little bit, just because I think with the breathing that you'll be good. Jesse, I want you to just really do it gently. And if at any point you want to breathe when you want to breathe, don't listen to me, just breathe, just do what you need to do. Even in some of these, I've done a breathwork ceremony where we did 2.5 minutes of holding your breath. And there were people that could do that, but I had to take 3 minutes or 3 breaths in between. I only lasted about 45 seconds. Apparently we can last 2.5 minutes. And at that point, you want to talk about hypoxia. You don't need ayahuasca or anything when you've done 2.5 minutes of holding your breath. It's incredible. But really, they have you breathing in and then holding it at the top of the breath. And you just literally keep taking little sips of breath, and you can just kind of keep going for a really long time. And what happens is you think you're going to die. You trigger that fear response, something fierce. And people, I was in on one this last weekend with like 100 women and men, and there was just bawling. And there was like, you'd see some people are doing this and some people are out cold. Some people were just like an absolute pile of mess on the floor, and some people were just right into it. But everyone had their own experience, and it was because of that breath. Like it's like a near-death experience, because you're telling yourself to not do something that you like. Talk about trying to break a structure down. That does it for people. Sometimes, they go into an ayahuasca ceremony and they break down their structure. They do mushrooms and they break down their structure. This breath work, man, that was intense. And it's something that you don't have to go crazy with. But, if you ever see like a breath work ceremony or something, actually, I can invite you guys to the next one. She does a free one every couple of weeks. And it's kind of like, it was a lot for me to get used to at first, because it's kind of like this annoying music at first, because they get you in certain states to kind of do this rhythmic breathing, and then we do pelvic breathing, and then we do different kinds of breathing. So it's a workout for an hour and a half. You're just breathing. And yeah, and then sharing. And it was a 2.5 hour call by the time I was done. And everybody was just like an absolute puddle. It was pretty incredible. But she just plays this recording that she has by whoever she trained with. And so it's pretty intense. It uses those binaural beats too, which I haven't maybe mentioned to you guys, but that is where you're hearing, all it is going, you can do this. You can reach anything. You are a rock star. It's just telling you in one ear while music's just pumping in the other, or it goes back and forth, or it'll say both things at the same time and it gets both sides of the brain. That's all binaural beats are, but some people just like that does it for them and they just work while they're doing it. It puts them in that theta state. And theta can also be very creative. You can be painting, you can even be doing diamond paintings or, paint by numbers, and just when you're kind of zoned in, creative, just in that space, that's where you want to get to. So for meditation, it can mean something completely different to absolutely everybody, but the moral of the story is we have the coolest one in the whole world. So let's do this, hey. Your minds are full now, I'm sure, because mine's empty, so you're just kidding. Talk about a brain dump. I haven't even actually looked at notes or anything to make sure I'm sure I told you guys. We got everything we needed to get. We don't need any more information in there. So now we're just going to let ourselves allow and just literally observe what meditation can be when we play full out. I don't know if a lot of you, when you've been listening to other stuff, you do other stuff while you're doing it. I commend you guys right now for spending this time, giving yourself this 10 minutes. This is magical because this is talking to your body right now. This is organizing all your cells into knowing what kind of proteins they're going to need to produce for tomorrow to get you, having the best results. So we're going to align that all up so that it knows exactly what those instructions are, and there'll be no overwhelm. There'll just literally be some good flowing juices and some good theta states happening to be able to just kind of get through the rest of your day and your evening. So I'm going to have you guys, just when you are ready, just basically in your head, allow me to just connect with you, connect with your minds, connect with your super conscious levels, and just go and play in this beautiful container, this beautiful sandbox that we have. I feel like it's this nice little beach and we're all just there together. And I'd like us to just start by taking a nice deep breath in through your nose, just filling your lungs up as much as you can, and then noticing if your belly is moving. And I want you to breathe out now. I like breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And when you breathe in next, I want you to engage that belly a little bit more. We're going to engage it like it's expanding like a beach ball, but only to what's comfortable. And we don't have to push it. We don't have to force it. And when we're exhaling, we're going to just deflate it, just like a balloon would be going. We're just going to allow all that stale air. I like kind of giving it a little bit of a hoo, almost like a sound after, where I'm really getting all that stale air that just kind of got stuck. And when you're ready, we're going to take a nice deep breath in again. Filling up that belly, filling up those side lungs, holding it for just a second, and breathing out. Breathing in again, filling up that belly, filling up those side lungs. Fill up the neck and the head and hold it for 3, 2, 1, and release. I'm going to have you just release all that breath. Relax your shoulders, relax your eyes. And I'm just going to have you guys breathe normally for a minute. And right now, I want you to feel what it would feel like if we were sitting on the beach. You guys can be in a chair. You can be just lying on the sand and feeling all the grits under your skin. You can be sort of lying on a towel or a sheet. And I want you to, for a moment, just remember what it feels like to have that sun just kiss your body. And I'm going to have you picture it kissing your toes. That sunshine is starting down at your feet. And it's kissing your toes right now. That's that feeling of that sun kiss, just that warmth where it enters your body. You can feel it. It's like your cells are just drinking in that sunshine, drinking in all that vitamin D. And I want you to start feeling it moving up to your ankles and covering the bottoms of your feet, covering the tops of your feet, just enveloping it in this beautiful, warm, sunny, basking glow, the sun-kissed feeling, moving up your shins and your legs. It's like you can feel it all the way through your bones, and it just melts your muscles and coming up over the knees. And it's almost like when it's washing over those things that it's actually making it feel better. You don't know why, but it feels good. And I want you to feel that sun moving up the thighs and up to your hips. Right where you were, if you were swimming, it would be cold. And you're going to go up with that sun and just warm everything. Warming your hips, warming your tailbone. I want you to feel that heat going all the way back, all the way through your belly, through your pubic bone, right into your tailbone, feeling that sunshine, opening all that up, opening up that spine, opening up that spinal column, and you're just right at those hip joints, just warming everything, almost like it's just melting butter. And I want you to just feel what that feels like. And I want you to move up into that stomach where you might melt some more butter. We're going to allow those cells to just drink that sunshine in, almost like you probably even have no clothes on. It's like it's not even repelling, it's just going right through, just soaking into your whole body, like your body's just absorbing those sun's rays. And just as they get absorbed into your abdomen and your bottoms of your lungs there, I want you to feel how it's just flushing. It's just starting to move things that don't need to be in there anymore. And I want you to feel that warmth and that energy that just starts buzzing. And I want you to keep that light moving all the way up into the chest, through those lungs, almost like it just transmutes and clears anything that's stuck in there, anything that's been hanging on. And I want you guys to take a nice deep breath again for me. I want us to just feel those shoulders relax, feel that neck relax, feel the back of the head start to relax as that sunshine is just moving up and kissing just like light lips on the sides of our neck. Behind the ears, that sun is just coming over top of our head and our face, and just almost feeling the brain start to unwind and untwist and absorb all of that solar energy that's just coming from above. And I want you to notice right now what it would feel like if your hair was actually relaxing on the top of your body. And as you're floating right now in that chair on the ground, I want you to notice that you almost can't feel your body anymore. It's almost like it's just light. It's just like pure light energy. And that energy is just full of peace and grace. That energy is just full of love. It's as though you could feel love in an actual frequency starting to wash over your body. And as it's coming up over your head, I want you to notice that it's almost like a big wave. It's going to come up over top of your head. And it's going to come back down and just start to wrap into any cell that it may have missed. And everything is going to just kind of start swirling very gently, like sparkles just swirling and cleaning, like you're one huge egg of energy, like this big round. It's like a big round shape. I want you to just feel yourselves just floating into this space. It doesn't matter what shape it is. It's just secure. It's just safe. It's like this little bubble or like this little egg I feel around us. And I want you to notice as you're breathing in and you're breathing out, this energy is just this pure exchange. There's nothing dirty anymore. It's just light. It's just clean. It's just clear. Feels like it's pure, opalescent white, maybe a tinge of a color. Just this gorgeous color, just washing through us and just allowing. It's like these little particles are just rearranging things, just flushing out some of those cells that had toxins in them, some of those cells that are stuck, where there's been no blood flow, where there's been no movement. I want you to just notice how that light is just congregating in some spots. It's just moving. There's a lot of action in and around the lungs and the chest and the heaviness and the trauma. And it's like it's just doing this little whirlpool, whirlwind. And as it does, it just transmutes, it clears. Just aligning all of our emotions, all of our energies towards the energies of peace, towards the energies of love and wholeness. Bringing that masculine and feminine together, having them not be at war with each other. Just literally as everything comes together, it's like you're just seeing it join, just how it needs to. And the light now is at the top of the head still. It's just waiting to come down and sort of push anything out that needs to come out. Almost as if you were kind of pushing a plunger down. There's going to be absolutely anything else that just needed to be compressed out of the cells. I want you to just feel yourself just floating, just allowing any of that energetic compression to just be moving down your body. Moving down the crown chakra, opening that third eye, feeling almost like that pull from the front of your nose, like things are just expanding out to the front of your body and out through the back of the head, everything just expanding, just so much space. And I want you to picture this light press, this light plunger just moving back down through the body. Opening up that throat chakra, just that little restraint. It's like this collar of light just coming around your throat, just opening up. Almost like someone's just taken their hands away, just allowing that whole throat chakra to just open. You guys are doing great. We're going to keep that plunger just moving down that heart chakra, that whole center where the solar plexus is, has got so much stuff. We're going to take another few clearing breaths to just allow that stuff that's just wanting to release in there right now. And we're going to take a nice deep breath in. And as we do, I want you to just imagine the air traveling up through all these chakras, right from the solar plexus, right up into the head. And I want you to try and push as much of that light up into the head, just allowing it to just fill your head, all those little sparkles, and releasing. Good for you. We're going to take a couple nice more deep breaths. We're just going to hold it up in that head, and we're going to try and imagine a straw pulling right from our perineum, right from the middle of the bottom of our body where our tailbone is, right where we're sitting. We're going to imagine like someone was just taking a straw and trying to suck that part of our body up into our head. And when you're ready, I'm going to take a nice deep breath in. And I want you to almost imagine that straw pulling from the bottom of your body all the way up to your head and holding 1, 2, 3, and letting go that whole pelvis, relaxing all those muscles, releasing all those muscles. That was beautiful. Now that you guys know how that's going to feel, we're going to do one more of that. So it's literally as if God was taking a straw and trying to suck you out of your chair right from the bottom. So we're just going to imagine that. When you're ready, we're going to take that nice deep breath in. And now pretend that straw is pulling up. That means bring your pelvic muscles, even if you have to tighten them a little bit, get control of right where that perineum is. Bring it up. Hold that up. Bring it up. Hold it. 2, 3. And releasing. Relaxing every muscle in your pelvic floor. Just like you were going to, almost like you were going to pretend you were going to sit down and go pee. There we go. Relaxing all those muscles. And one more nice deep breath for me. We're going to breathe in. Now picture that pelvis coming up, 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 and hold it for one more. And releasing. Let those muscles go. All of those muscles, the shoulder muscles, and just breathing out. Awesome. Now we're going to let this plunger keep moving. There we go. Through that solar plexus. Yes. Just emptying out that sacral chakra and that root. We are just allowing all that stuff to just leave our root, almost like there's a root kind of growing out of our tailbone, right down into the middle of the earth. Just all that energy can go back to the earth for healing, for trauma. We don't need it anymore. Just going to let that go. And super conscious, I'm just going to ask that you align to the rest of these wonderful ladies' bodies, organ systems, energy centers, making the absolute perfect treatment plan. Anywhere there's pain, anywhere there's inflammation, anywhere there's old stuff we happen to be hanging on to, super conscious, I want you to allow us to just picture that being plunged out of our body right now. Almost like a hand can just finish just pressing anything out. And as any of those old beliefs, any of those old patterns that we don't need anymore, any of those old toxins that we're hanging on to in our cells, in our fat cells, in our organs, allowing our mitochondria to just start regenerating, creating the absolute perfect treatment plan. And going into some of the reproductive organs, all the reproductive organs, there's some ovaries, there's some old traumas that have been hanging on in there. And we're just gonna create the absolute perfect treatment plan around those. We're going to do a massive super conscious recode on all things that are needed. Oof. Just taking a nice deep breath if you need it, just simply allowing what it would feel like to just let Mother Earth just draw anything else out through that root chakra. It's safe to open. And super conscious, I'm just going to ask you to just treat some fears. Treat that heaviness, treat those traumas. Just allowing some protection going forward, just allowing that body to feel safe and to feel loved. And allowing those vibrations right now of that love to just start dripping down into the body. Feeling the sunshine, feeling it kiss the top of our head now. Feeling it just one last time. Kiss our third eye. Kiss our nose, letting that pineal gland, letting that pituitary gland just open up. Decalcifying anything that needs decalcifying. Bringing cholesterol where it needs to get. Reducing the blood pressure, allowing those arteries to just relax, to become soft. And allowing any other rigidities to just become soft. We're going to do a massive change history on all things needed. And we're going to allow that whole throat chakra, that whole throat center. I want you to swallow, yawn, try and open your ears. That whole area is just wanting to just unclog. Maybe clear your sinus. It's all in there. That's right. And allowing that chest to just envelop that whole heart chakra, feeling safe, even with the trauma, even with the cracks. That light is kind of softened it. It's filled in some cracks right now. And moving down into that solar plexus, into the whole energy center of the whole sacral chakra. Through the root chakra and just moving down through the hips and the legs and just allowing that sun to continue to kiss the rest of your body, moving down through the legs. Feeling what it would feel like on the tops of the legs and the knees, just coming right through the bones down into your calves and your shins and the feet, just the ankles feeling wrapped and warm. And we're going to go back to that chair on the beach and bring ourselves back from that conscious sparkle. And we're going to ground all those into memories 1, 2, and 3. The matrix of the universe. And I'd like you guys to just practice with a couple of nice deep breaths. However you feel called, you may feel called to hold it for a couple seconds. You may just feel called to take a nice few deep breaths, opening the side lungs, opening the chest, just gently. And when you're ready, I'd love it if you shared with me how you're doing. I probably should have checked in on you guys. I just went right into recode mode, make sure I don't have anyone in the waiting room. Kind of waking up, like, where am I? I always liken to a meditation too, almost like a massage, where after a massage, people, they were like, I want to book again, but you have to repeat that. When are you available? It's just like, I can't think right now. You guys are awesome. That was really fun. It was big. Like my body kind of shakes a little bit when there's lots of releasing going on. I used to get it like really bad where I'd shake for a while after, but it was really intense. Just like there's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff that was just heavy, and I was about to end the recode, and then my whole pelvic area just started to ache, like where my ovaries were, and my like almost like horrible cramps where it was just like, oof, there was some stuff in there. So I don't know why, but I definitely had to go in there and just kind of throw some good stuff in there, because wow, you guys are incredible. Like, talk about playing full out. That was beyond fun. I would love to hear if you guys want to share at all. Feel free to absolutely unmute yourself and if it was hard to get into, if there was something that, even, because I'm always learning too, right? I'm always up for criticism in any way. I find any criticism constructive criticism. So feel free to say, you know what, like a lot of times when I've done that plunger one, people find it harder. It brings them to darker, to different places. I just felt like I knew we were going to kind of follow it by sun, but I just had to get that dark stuff out. It was just like I just felt like I wanted to just push it through the earth. It was really wild. So, but I'd love to hear your guys. I'll stop talking now. How about you, Jessie? You're off mute there. Why don't you share with me?
Yeah, no, that was really good. And I've forgotten, I was going to say stuff. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, yes. No, it was very good. So there was lots
That's
of
beautiful. That means it's that did some work. Like, I love that. I love that. That's so good.
Good. So it was there's I could feel at the end lots of like shivers and stuff. So I know that was energy moving as well. No, there was something else, but I mean, your voice, your modulation and everything's great. Just the energy of your voice. So it's really good. There was something else. I can't remember what it was that I was going to
Let's see. Well, if it pops up, jot it down and definitely pop it in. I find that when I've done a recode, especially with Shilpi, I don't know if you guys do them often, but when I go through her recodes, it's like a dream and I wake up and I can't remember anything, but it was so clear in the dream. I was like, but I was just like, that was a big thought. Damn it, what was it? And she's like, that's the thing. It's not apparent anymore. It's not part of your structure anymore. It's moved, it's shifted, let it go, right? And I'm like, yeah. So that's huge, Jessie. That's really, really huge. I love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Yes. Tamara and Heather, I see you guys are off mute. Do you care to share with me? Can I put you on the spot?
I was almost fell asleep, and I was drinking. I was feeling my energy moving back, and oh my God, it was wow.
Awesome. I'm so glad. So glad.
It a lot for me. I felt it, and yes, that's feeling asleep.
I love it. And I mean, part of that was Suzanne warmed you up too and kind of got you in the field. So you were able to kind of jump in there, and it's wonderful when people can kind of go to that spot, into that state, because it just shows, that the energy is so connected. And I thank you for trusting me and coming on and playing full out, because that's really huge. I love it. I love it. That's amazing. Amazing. How about you? Oh, Suzanne or Heather, did you want to, or sorry, Tamara, did I cut you off? I did not mean to. I talk a lot.
That's fine.
Okay. Feel free to interrupt me anytime, honestly.
Okay.
How about Heather? I was picking on you earlier. Did you care to share at all, Heather? Or are you in a space where you can right now?
Well, for me, I fell asleep.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. That's so good. And that is too, right? Because we were like, you guys were halfway there. It was just a matter, I just really felt like I kind of just started to need to just kind of go through the body and just, it was just like this wanting to just kind of allow it to go to sleep again. Good. And you're just starting your day, aren't you, Jessie? It's only probably noon there by now. Maybe it's time for a nap. And you know what? Honor that too, because I find it after a state like this, even after a meditation, if people do fall asleep, it's usually because their body, now when we're in that state all the time, we're totally adrenalized, right? So when you give your body that opportunity to shut down for a second, it takes it and it runs with it. It's like, turn that computer off. And when you turn it back on, it's almost like all the programs are, you did that. Now you did your restart. We've done the installations to do the restart by actually honoring that. Allow yourself to even have a 10-minute, just, shut her down, just let your adrenals kind of catch up, because they've already been producing enough for 2027. So you want to kind of slow those poor adrenal glands down a bit, because that's what starts to get kicking in if we stay up too late and things like that, right? The stress hormones are just such killers. So now we've turned that off. We've turned off that fight or flight mode. And that's what I really want to give people, is that power button to be able to just do that, just literally turn on that switch, right, to make that happen. And Suzanne, I see you're off mute. Can I pick on you for a moment? How did you find that? I know you'll tell me honestly.
I love the plunger because I'm stubborn, and my big issue for this past year has been shoulder pain, all chakra stuff, throat. And so when we did the light, the solar, it was just beautiful, and it released quite a bit. And like the others, I just felt this wave of energy tingling, which is beautiful. But the plunger was good for me personally. And I also discovered when I started doing this work that I could only do 2 recodes a week, because if I did too many, the body, the mind, the spirit doesn't know what to do anymore. It's total mayhem. So
talk about fight or flight mode.
Yeah, you got to allow your body to assimilate the changes. So yeah, be kind to yourself. Allow yourself as much sleep and rest as you need. All is well. And you're just healing. You're healing. Yes. And it's okay to feel off. It's okay.
That's how the body repairs. It can't unless that theta state is truly the only state that you will heal in.
It's amazing.
And right. And so to be able to, that's why if you don't sleep, you don't heal. If you don't sleep, you're not going to lose weight. You're not going to, because your body cannot shut her down, you know. Even that sleep at night, when we heat up overnight and we start to cook and sweat, it's because our body's generally burning toxins off. It's not because we're hormonal half the time, we're hormonally imbalanced, but it's not necessarily menopause. It'll happen to men, it'll happen to women. It's the body shutting down and allowing those processes to heat up and clean you out all of a sudden, because it just doesn't get that chance ever, right?
It's like a detox,
It is. And we're so hard on ourselves, right?
And like, sometimes you can feel dizzy, lightheaded, like totally off. I mean, when you're walking, you're off.
Exactly.
Because of what's the body's an amazing machine. And recently I've just had this stuff like, I'm really off. I need to go ground somewhere because I was walking like off balance, and I'm fit for my age. It's like, what's going on? So you pay attention to your body, you honor it. You take your naps when you need to. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Sometimes it's that masculine and feminine trying to line up too, right? Like we have been doing a lot of work on that lately, and I actually felt things kind of come together there, and it was like, whoa. Yeah, I felt like I was walking straighter too. It's funny how that's
powerful. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, you're so welcome, you guys. Thank you. How about Samara? I'll ask you for a share before I let you guys go. I just want to check in on you, make sure you're doing all right there.
How to unmute. Okay, I got it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great for me, you know, between all the information and the breath work also. I mean, besides your meditations, I find your voice and your rhythm to be wonderful personally for me. But
you guys are awesome.
But the breath work is so powerful always.
Isn't it? And there is so much to it. Oh man. I have done a class just on breath work too. And if I had the confidence, I might do a breath work ceremony one day, but I still, I'm used to doing them in person because it's tougher on Zoom, because I'm always wanting to make sure everybody's, you know, not feeling like, okay, I'm breathing in and she's breathing out. And it's a little bit tougher because I'm so used to just doing it with people on my massage table, because that's all I did. So, it would take me sometimes 3 hours or 3 sessions of a massage to get someone to be able to breathe properly through the diaphragm. And I like being there I put my hand right where they need to breathe so that they're, you know, make sure they're doing it properly. And then we do the pelvic breathing. Like, I don't know if you guys ever have had anyone or even suffer yourself with things like pelvic floor dysfunction and stuff like that, with leakage and things. There's an actual Kegel is when you bring that perineum up, but you bring the frontal pelvis muscles up too. So it's like you almost like suck up the frontal pelvis muscles where the clitoris is basically, then the perineum, then the rectum, in 3 different sections. And so there's actually a breathing where you go first part, middle part, back part, right? And so you're breathing in, you're tightening everything, like 1, 2, 3, and you actually have to think about it. And that's the thing, when I'm with people, I can tell, because you got to think about it, right? and then you release it 1, 2, 3. And that is an actual Kegel. And then I make you do it while you're walking, and then while you're breathing. And then, we actually do that to actually get that pelvic floor working again. But it's part of a meditation too. And I found it really neat just in learning Joe's Dispenza's stuff, where he brings that perineum, and it's literally like feeling that skin being sucked up. Like it's really, you have to really focus to tighten that particular muscle. That's, that inner pelvic floor muscle, because it's connected right to the back of the neck, right? Like it's right to your skull, and the fascia is all wound up. So it's just, it works so amazingly to be able to breathe and do these kind of things at the same time. So I'll leave you with that little tidbit. You guys can practice the breathing with that, and we'll see you guys in the next group. I'm sure. I always do Friday night. I always like to make it a little bit something different, but I'm really glad that you guys hopped on to have a meditation class with me. That was awesome. Thank you so much for making the time, and for joining me tonight and trusting me. I just love it. Oh, I'm so glad. You guys are awesome. I want to save these chats. So wonderful. Love you guys. Mwah. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.